breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers in the 2024 GMC Acadia and Sierra on 1500 ESPN and available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is Sam Bird. Does a fantastic job putting our show together after those exciting games like a 12-7 somewhat snoozer, somewhat squeaker in Jacksonville on Sunday. But as we say in the business, and as I said for many, many years in the business as a GM and team president, just get the W. Doesn't really matter. In 3 weeks, no one's going to remember or care how it happened, but it'll be in the left-hand column, and that's what happened for the Vikings in Jacksonville with that 12-7 win on Sunday. Sam, it kind of reminded me of my first year as president of the Titans. Okay. In 1999, I was coming off that great 98 season with the Vikings, 15-1, the heartbreaker against Atlanta in the NFC title game, record-setting offense. And then I go to Tennessee, and it's a totally different scenario in terms of, shall we say, style points of how these games turned out. We had a lot of close wins with an excellent defense, forcing turnovers, getting past lesser teams like the Cleveland Browns, 14-13, and the fan base and the media would call it an ugly win and a snooze fest. And I would tell our players and coaches in the locker room, I said, hey, got the W, and that's really what matters. They don't pay extra for style points. And by the way, they also pay the other team to play. So it's not like they're totally terrible team in Jacksonville. So the Vikings got the win, very important win, get to 7-2. Sounds much better than 6-3.
Absolutely.
Stayed on the heels of the Lions. And did you happen to catch the end of that game last night, Sam?
Don't get me started. Houston totally gave that game away.
Oh, unbelievable. C.J. Stroud, he's got a wide-open Tank Dell in the end zone and just kind of puts a little too much air under it so that the Lions can pick it off. Carlton Davis, great play, but the guy is so wide open. If he just throws the ball like a normal throw on a more of a line, I think that might have put him up by 23 at that point. They were up 16.
Yeah.
So just kind of a crazy game. But again, another example in the NFL, there were a lot of different ways to win. The Lions probably had no business winning that game. And maybe in some respects, the Vikings didn't either. When they score no touchdowns, they have 3 interceptions, somewhat questionable officiating calls on a couple of those, I would say, in Sam Darnold's defense, but even still, probably shouldn't have thrown those balls in that situation, and especially the one in the end zone. He throws 2 yards behind Jefferson, hits the ground, and it's just kind of a situation where, as I said, you just have to find a way to win. The Vikings, the first NFL team, Sam, to win a game with no touchdowns and 3 turnovers since the Packers did it against the Vikings in 2006.
Yep.
And the Vikings go 0 for 5 in the red zone. Luckily had their defense that rose up in the fourth quarter with forcing 3 turnovers in the last 7 minutes. And John Parker Romo, the hero of the hour with that tremendous day kicking in his first NFL game. Let's go to the locker room after the game. And here's Kevin O'Connell talking to the troops.
Because I just wanted to walk around right now and personally congratulate every member of our defense. When I talk about whatever it takes, all right, we get 60 minutes, and we don't get to decide how that 60 minutes plays out. But all I know is over and over again, our defense said, hell no. Fumble recovery by Harrison Phillips. Byron Murphy with an interception for the third straight game. Gink with a sack and 2 TFLs. All right? Cash with 5 tackles and a sack. Welcome back, IP, welcome to the show right here. 5 tackles, 1 sack. And Cam Bynum, when we needed it, tracking it, finding it, All right, so right here I have one football for every single defensive player in the room right here. Every single one you got.
And Kevin went on to give another game ball to John Parker Romo, well-deserved in his first game, official NFL game. He's been in preseason before, but this was his first game, his first kick, made his first kick for the Vikings. And let's go to some of our highlights here from the game. And here was John Parker Romo's first NFL field goal, a 45-yarder. That's no chip shot. And that put the Vikings up 3-0 early, culminating a 12-play, 53-yard drive.
Parker Romo is in for the injured Will Reichert. His first NFL field goal attempt is pure. Welcome to the NFL.
Nicely done by John Parker Romo. Made 3 more kicks in the game. Second quarter, Vikings are moving the ball, a 17-play drive. And in this situation, Jacksonville playing shell coverage, basically 2 deep safeties and just double covering Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, trying to do the shell coverage on those guys. Opened up the middle of the field. TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver had big days, 12 catches between them. Hawkinson really looked good in this game. And this drive got down into the red zone. And here was the play where Sam Darnold intercepted it in the end zone. And check it out and see if you think that Montaric Brown trapped this ball, which I thought he did.
Darnold, time, plenty of it. End zone shot, and another end zone interception for Sam Darnold, and Buster Brown has the first pick of his career.
Yeah, I'm not sure he really had that pick. I thought the officiating in this game was terrible. Mm-hmm. On the first interception that Darnold threw on the in-cut slant to Jefferson, he was held, obviously, and no flag on that play. So it may have wound up being a game where Darnold only had one interception.
Right.
But it ends up being 3 on his record. Doesn't look good, and his passer rating drops from 107 something where he was 5th in the league. Now he's 11th at 99. Doesn't really matter as long as you got the W, and they did. But the Vikings at this point are trailing 7-3, and late in the second quarter, Blake Cashman, he's been such an important player for this team this year. The inside linebacker out of Eden Prairie, University of Minnesota, by way of the Jets in Houston. Vikings signed him in free agency. He's had a great year. Had to fight off a turf toe, missed several games. Vikings are 6-0 when he plays, and now 1-2 when he doesn't play. He's the green dot. He calls the defenses, keeps everything organized on defense. Many players in the locker room talked about how important he was, and so did Kevin O'Connell. And here was Blake Cashman with a sack of Mac Jones.
This entire game.
Bigsby could not corral Blake Cashman.
On the game, Cashman, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, 5 tackles. As I said, called the defenses. And he made really the critical pressure on the last interception by Cam Bynum. He put the heat on Mac Jones in that situation where he unloaded that deep ball and miscommunication with Gabe Davis, and Bynum comes down with the interception. So Vikings trailing almost midway fourth quarter, getting very anxious in Viking land, thinking, can they possibly lose to this 2-7 Jacksonville team that basically has no offense, and their defense played better than expected for having the 31st ranked passing attack. They actually put some heat on and played a decent game on defense. But here in the fourth quarter, the Vikings moved the ball all day. They outgained Jacksonville 402 to 143 in the game. Time of possession, Sam?
Yep.
42 minutes and 19 seconds.
I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
17-41. It's the most time of possession for any team in the NFL this year. 29-10 in first downs. Should have been a blowout, right?
Right.
But it wasn't. It wasn't. And sometimes you got to win the hard way.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like it. I don't know, Jeff. I think this game for me just felt like one of those games that, one, I say this all the time. It's never, the Vikings never make it easy. But two, I think this was one of those games where Darnold, this is kind of the game we expected from Darnold back at the beginning of the season when we knew McCarthy was going to be out. Everybody kind of groaned and said, okay, we'll get through the year with Darnold. I think this is what they were expecting for all 17 games. And we've been fortunate that it hasn't been that way. And I think this is just one of those games where he maybe came back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is a big challenge for Kevin O'Connell, honestly, that he's got to kind of drill into Sam to be more careful, to understand down and distance. One of the interceptions was a second down throw, which O'Connell did mention. And he said in his media session, Sam knows better. Mm-hmm. And so I think, you can beat a Jacksonville maybe with your defense playing great and the kicking game and your offense. The running game was fine, 169 yards rushing. Aaron Jones gutting it out with a rib injury and got contributions from Cam Akers and in Ty Chandler. Also, the offensive line, Oliver, Hawkinson, the blocking was good, C.J. Ham. Again, you've got to finish drives. You can't go 0 for 5 in the red zone in the NFL. It might work against Jacksonville. It might even work against Tennessee next week. Titans have a better defense. They're the number 1 ranked defense in the league, but their offense is not good, and Will Levis is wildly inconsistent. Might get by Tennessee, might even get by Chicago, the way the Bears are struggling, and Caleb Williams gets sacked 9 times.
Right.
His offensive line's terrible. Caleb Williams holding the ball. But when you run into getting to the playoffs, Vikings have a 91% chance now to make the playoffs, by the way.
Wow.
Which is great news.
We'll take it.
You definitely take it. But eventually, if you think you're going to do some damage in the postseason, you're going to run into Philadelphia, you're going to run into Detroit, even a team such as the Rams that gave them trouble. Green Bay is always a challenge. But more than likely, if you make it to the Final Four, you're going to run into Philadelphia or Detroit for sure, and probably Detroit. So you got to play better. You got to finish drives. You got to score touchdowns, and you got to continue to play good defense and good kicking game. And we'll see how that all plays out. We're going to do a few more highlights, but first we're going to talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. There are trucks. Then there's the trucks, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your Select Minnesota GMC dealers. Stop by and choose from our wide selection of colors, models, and trim levels. Our friendly sales professionals are ready to work with you so you drive home happy with not just any deal, the deal. So take a test drive today. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on 2024 GMC Sierra light-duty models. See your Select Minnesota GMC dealers today. Length of contract limited. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/2/24. As we continue in the game, fourth quarter, 6:38 left, and the defense shows up big time with that takeaway. Excellent job they've done all season. They're now number 1 in the league with 20 takeaways, lead the league with 15 interceptions. And here is the first takeaway. It was actually a fumbled snap by Mac Jones.
Vikings offense 379.
Oh boy, Mac Jones fumbled snap. And this may be Minnesota football. And Harrison Phillips takes it out of there.
That was a big moment in the game. Vikings clinging at that point to it actually led to Romo's 4th field goal and a 12-7 lead. They were up 9-7 at that point. Then, as the fourth quarter unfolds, last half of the fourth quarter, here's an interception, 3:47 to go by Byron Murphy, his 3rd straight game with a pick.
There's Jones. Wanted to go deep. Oh, he underthrew that ball, and that was right into the waiting arms of Byron Murphy.
That's a bad throw by Mac Jones, starting in place of Trevor Lawrence in the game. I'm not sure Trevor would have made much of a difference. He'd been struggling too going into the last couple of games. But the Vikings at this point are trying to close it out, but they give the ball back to Jacksonville. And kind of a sequence where Aaron Jones came back in the game, toughed it out with that rib injury, had a couple of good runs, set up a 3rd and 1, and then kind of inexplicably, Kevin O'Connell calls a pass play, and Darnold gets sacked there at the Jacksonville 38 at that point. And I think just run Aaron Jones and just run Aaron Jones and keep the clock moving, make Jacksonville use timeouts. It's 3rd and 1. If you can't block on 3rd and 1, you got a problem. I think he was going for the kill shot and obviously didn't pan out. So Jacksonville gets the ball back and they're down 5, minute 57 left. And here comes Blake Cashman on a blitz. Mac Jones panics and throws up a deep ball with a miscommunication with Gabe Davis, and Cam Bynum makes a nice wide receiver-like interception.
Jones can change it up.
Extra man comes from Minnesota. Jones launches end zone. Closest man is a Viking. It is picked up by Bynum. Cameron Bynum.
Great play. Great play by Cam Bynum. His 3rd interception of the year. Second on the team to Byron Murphy with 4. Vikings close it out. It still got a little dicey at the end even because Jacksonville got the ball back.
Yeah.
But the Vikings finally clinched the victory. Actually, they didn't get the ball back. The Vikings had to run out the clock, and they finally ran it out on a roughing penalty on Trayvon Walker. And everybody exhaled in Minnesota and on that Viking sideline. Vikings emerged 7-2. Went into that Sunday night game with Detroit. Houston's up 23-7. 3rd quarter, thinking, could the Vikings end up in a first-place tie? Not to be, as the Lions rallied in that game. Let's hear again from Kevin O'Connell post-game, talking a little bit about Sam Darnold.
Just picking each other up all day long, and Sam Darnold's played a lot of football at a really high level this year. Huge reason why we're 7-2, and looking back on it, this can be a critical moment that we all kind of absorb and understand we're still 100% confident in Sam. It'd be craziness not to be, but at the same time, a great opportunity to figure out exactly, as we after action, exactly what happened, and as coaches and players, put it together in a way where we'll be able to use this as a very healthy win to also improve.
And Darnold talking post-game, and he understands what he did wrong, but now he's got to improve and not do it again.
Yeah, obviously, great job by, first and foremost, our whole team, just getting a win. Jags are a tough team. And our defense, special teams, man, they stepped up today. I got to do a lot better job of taking care of the football. I think that's obvious. And just being situationally aware of kind of where we're at in the field and first and second down, like just being able to put the ball in play and let our guys go run with it. I thought I could have done a lot better job of that today, but we'll just, look at the tape and learn from it that way.
I kind of feel bad in a certain way, Sam, because I've been harping all year on get the ball to Jefferson, target Jefferson more, and all 3 interceptions were targeted to Jefferson.
Right.
On one of them, I felt maybe it was that last interception. I thought Justin could have made a better play on the ball to even try to break it up, be a DB in that situation. And I'm not going to say don't throw to Jefferson because he's the best receiver in the league.
Right.
Got to do it. But maybe in this situation to look for other players, as very successfully he did with the tight ends. As we said, 12 catches by Hockenson and Oliver in the game. Addison had a big couple of big catches. He also was overthrown on a play where that could have been maybe a touchdown.
Absolutely.
And so it was a day for Darnold. He moved the team. They had a lot of total offense, but it seemed like a lot of the catches, guys were making circus catches, reaching behind them. Jefferson plucking a ball off the ground. And so it just wasn't a day where he was on target. And that's got to improve. Maybe some of that's playing outside, maybe a little wind or whatever in Jacksonville. But we'll see what happens this week. As I said, I think it's a big challenge for Sam Darnold and for Kevin O'Connell to improve that accuracy that he's playing with. Blake Cashman impactful, as we said, the secondary making turnovers, interceptions. First down defense was excellent in the game. Vikings had 8 tackles for loss in this game on defense. Really did a great job in putting the Jags in a lot of second and long situations, third and long. So a lot of positives to take out of the game. And as we said, John Parker Romo, not only with his field goal kicking 4 for 4, but also his kickoffs, 4 out of 5 were deep in the end zone. The Jags have a very good returning team. And let's hear from the kicker, John Parker Romo.
Incredible feeling. We got a lot of special people in the stands today, so it's a great way to start, and I just want to keep the ball rolling.
Was this moment everything you envisioned it would be?
Absolutely. You know, that's the nice thing about showing up to the stadium, getting to just sit on the sideline and take everything in, and it's just another game, so excited.
Nervous?
I mean, of course, you know, it's like I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, but just got to trust the process and trust my training over the past 15 years of kicking. So
a great day for John Parker Romo. His first NFL field goals and 4 for 4. Should be in the running for NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, I would think, with that performance, scoring all the points for the Vikings in a victory. Blake Cashman, we talked before about, really an excellent game, such an important player on this defense, and here's Blake after the game.
A win on the road is huge, so we understand what that means, and honestly, this is one of those games where it's super gritty, it's a tough, hard-fought win, and these are the type of games that prepare you, in my opinion, for the playoffs. They pay dividends at the end of the year, so I'm really proud of this team, the way we fought, hung in there. Nobody flinched when we faced adversity. And, we're going to learn from our mistakes and bounce back and continue to, play at a high level.
The coaches may have cringed when they heard that reference to playoffs. They don't want guys thinking about the playoffs after 9 games because we've seen in the past, for example, Philadelphia last year made the playoffs, but they were awful down the stretch. Jacksonville, that team they just played, was 8-3 at one point last year. Lost 6 of their last 7 games and missed the playoffs when Houston took over in the AFC South. So, yeah, you don't want him thinking too much about playoffs. But I think it's okay that he mentioned the P word. That's okay. We'll allow that. And Cam Bynum, always a lively personality. And Cam was excited after the game with his kind of game-clinching pick.
That Mamba mentality, just staying locked in the whole game. I know that the role I have on the team is really more in the pass game, playing the deep part of the field. So I know when we're up and we force teams to have to throw the ball, I know that's my opportunity every single week. And I have that written down in my notebook every week, my opportunities to get picks. And they're always in passing situations just because I know whenever the ball's in the air, I expect myself to come down with at least one every week. And really coming out the games, if I don't have an interception or a turnover, it feels like a disappointment for me. And that's my standard for myself. So being able to do that in the fourth quarter is always most enjoyable because you want to have, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, Cam's been a big play guy for this defense over the past couple of years. Of course, we recall he had two interceptions in the big Monday night win over the 49ers last year, and very good player and a very timely interception at the end of the game. The Vikings also kind of reverted to bad form in the penalties, the pre-snap penalties, too many in this game. One in particular that stood out was Cam Robinson, the new tackle, lining up too deep in the backfield with his stance, and it nullified a gain down to the 4. It would have been first and goal at the 4 on a catch by Addison. They end up with 3rd and 17 or something and have to kick a field goal. Those are the kind of plays that can get you beat. So they've got to clean up the pre-snap penalties again, had 6 penalties in this game. And as we said, the 3-game road swing continues at Tennessee. On Sunday against the Titans, 2-7, they lost 27-17 to the Chargers. Vikings will try to rattle Will Levis. That Titans defense pretty good, though, number 1 in the league. As we kind of look ahead to, or look back at what happened on Sunday, some big games around the league. We've talked a little bit about that Detroit game, talk a little bit more about that. But first, let's hear again from our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
There are trucks Then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your local GMC dealer. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR for 36 months on GMC Sierra light-duty models. See your local GMC dealer today. Monthly payment is $28.16 for every $1,000 you finance. Average example down payment 15%. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/24.
So John Parker Romo might have competition for NFC Special Teams Player of the Week from Jake Bates, the kicker for the Detroit Lions, who barely got 2 late field goals in, one from 58, one from 52. The first one just inside the right upright. The second one just inside the left upright, literally by less than a foot on both kicks. And the Lions complete their comeback against the Texans, who have just got to be kicking themselves today for losing that game, which could cost them perhaps home field advantage down the road. We'll see in the AFC. They're going to win the AFC South, which is a terrible division. And the Vikings will be going for that sweep of the AFC South this week. They've already beaten Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville. They play Tennessee. Okay, so Sam, here's a good stat. 1970, the last time a team won trailing by 15 or more points with 5 interceptions.
Wow.
And that was the Detroit Lions on Sunday night in Houston. Jared Goff, the first 5-interception game of his career, but the Lions kept coming. They're a talented team. Their defense stuffed the Texans' run, and C.J. Stroud made some costly errors in that game. So it looked like the Vikings had a chance to tie for first place. It didn't turn out that way, and they wind up still a game behind, but in really good shape playoff-wise at 7-2. Detroit 6-8-1, and they've got Jacksonville next week, so mark them down for 9-1 already, and it's in Detroit. The Chicago Bears, they've got to be one of the more disappointing teams in the league. They were 4-2 at one point. Caleb Williams was starting to get better, and now he's gotten worse. The offensive line is a disaster. He got sacked 9 times by New England, who came in with a 2-7 record. They lose 19-3 at home. The Vikings are there the week after going to Tennessee. Might be good timing to catch the Bears because they're really struggling. And Chicago now 4-5 with 3 straight losses. Kansas City, well, talk about finding a way to win.
No kidding.
And that's something that we always talk about, and that Kevin O'Connell talked about after the game. Just find a way to win. And the Chiefs are now 9-0. And this time they found a way to win. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes or a walk-off field goal. It was a walk-off blocked field goal against Denver. And it looked like the Chiefs were finally going down, but no, they're 9-0. They've got a big game this Sunday at Buffalo, who's 8-2 and on a roll and has won about 4 straight games. So that's going to be a great matchup for this coming weekend. The Steelers won a big game over Washington, close game 28-27. Arizona, sneaky Arizona, they're going to be here in about 3-4 weeks. And watch out for those Cardinals. They're leading the NFC West at 6-4, and they've won a bunch in a row too. And they have wins over the Rams and 49ers already in their division. They win 31-6 over the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. Not good times in New York. Christian McCaffrey returned for the 49ers, had a nice game, and they won that game. So this coming weekend, some big games. I already mentioned. Of course, we got the Vikings going to Tennessee. You've got Baltimore at Pittsburgh, big game in the AFC North with first place on the line. You got Washington at Philly, first place in the NFC East on the line. Green Bay is at Chicago. Packers come off their bye, and Jacksonville at Detroit. We will be back on Thursday to preview the Vikings and the Titans. My 2 former teams will be going at it in Nashville. And this has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers and the 2024 GMC Sierra on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. This is Jeff Diamond with Sam Bird, and we will talk to you on Thursday as we preview the Vikings and the Titans.